Which SDG seems to be failing in India? SDG 5.3 to eliminate child marriage is off track, where it affects almost more than 20% of women in our country. Why child marriage still exists in India? It has more than just the society, it has economic factors as well as policy factors behind it. What story numbers are telling us? It is telling us about economic as well as social costs that we would have to bear in present and upcoming future. On paper, India has strong laws like Prevention of Child Marriage Act 2006 and award-winning schemes like Kanya Shri Prakalp or Dhan Lakshmi scheme. But on ground, child marriage is a huge challenge that lies in front of us, especially with states like West Bengal, Bihar Tripura, where the child marriage stats are off the roof. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to talk about child marriage. What are the changing numbers, but how it is putting us off the track in achieving this SDG 5.3, how it is affecting our economy, society, and also we will be understanding what are the causes behind it. So if we talk about child marriage and the exact definition that has been put in the Prevention of Child Marriage Act 2006 itself, is that if any union or marriage takes place before 18 years of age, it would be labelled as child marriage. If we look at the number, as per NFHS 5, that is National Family Health Survey, more than 23% of women in India are still married before 18. The most prominence has been seen in West Bengal, Bihar, Tripura, where the number is above 40%. And when we are talking about reasons, these reasons are multidimensional. They are economics reasons, societal reasons, be it poverty, gender bias, social norms, or the weaker enforcement of the laws that have been brought in. So when we talk about this palpable situation that is present in front of us, we need to understand first that how it is measured. So especially from the context of National Family Health Survey, we look into percentage of women between the age of 20 to 24, and then we understand when they were married. So if they were married before 18, they are counted in the child marriage stats, and that is how NFHS understands the child marriage. Now that basically allows the retrospective view कि कितने लोगों की शादी जो है हो चुकी है before 18. This gives us a view into the people, into the girls who were married off before already. But the problem here with understanding this number itself is the fact that it is excluding girls who are less than 18 at present, and they are also at the risk of child marriage. They might still be married before they are 18. So the younger cohort, that is 18 and 19, they are the proxy for the most recent levels, and they also need to be included to actually get the real picture what is on ground. Because the challenge is not the addressal, but the challenge is also understanding the expanse of the problem. So if we talk about NFHS 5, then we see that 23.3% 20 to 24 of age versus 16.3% in 18 to 19 bracket, which gives us a better preview that has been seen, that are recorded lesser numbers, but this is nothing to be happy about or taken as a good news. Now let us look into some other stats as well. So when we are talking about women who are aged between 20 to 24 years who were married, when we look into the differentiation based on place of residence, education, wealth index, let us have a comparison based on three different datas of NFHS 3, 4 and 5. So let us start with, let's just say if we are talking about rural areas and urban areas, you will find that especially in the context of NFHS 5, that the difference in terms of percentage of child marriage is not huge. So the urban-rural divide is not as much if we would be expecting कि यहाँ पे जो social evils हैं urban areas में probably exist नहीं करेंगे, ऐसा देखने को नहीं मिलता है. If we are talking about education, it shows a clear indication that in the situation when there is no education or awareness, the numbers are really high in terms of child marriage. Now talking about the economic reasons, The poorest categories is again showing high numbers, be it the reducing numbers. Of course, with every survey that has been conducted over years, the numbers have been reducing, but we are not at a place where we can say that our laws, that our schemes have given the dividend that they should have. So the numbers are definitely decreasing, but this number is also not something to be proud of. When we are saying 40% of women which are coming from the poorest category are married off before 18. Apart from that, let us look another data here. This shows basically the prominence of percentage in terms of women who are married off before 18 and state-wise trends for NFHS 3, 4 and 5. So if you will see NFHS 3, that is 2005 and 6, most of our country where the data has been available is showing prominence over 30%. But if we talk about the present, the most recent data that we have, we see that Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Assam, these are the states which are above 30%, where the other states have gradually recovered. We find that states like Rajasthan and Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh have the imagery of where child marriage is usually associated, but this is not something that we can associate or understand just on the basis of region. As we have already said, that it comes from the economic, societal as well as educational conditions of the family and the individual that we are talking about. Now let us looking at another data where we are dividing it across the categories in terms of religion and in terms of caste as well, where we are looking at bigger social groups. You still find that the prominence exists across the religions and across social groups, where we are finding the prominence is highest in terms of Hindu and Muslim religion group, and when we are talking about social groups, highest is seen in SC/ST and OBCs as well. Now again giving us an insight that economic and social norms also affect the prevalence of such a social evil in our country. And now coming to the finality, where we will be looking at the final numbers in terms of NFHS when we are talking, which has measured over the years, where NFHS 5 shows us that 23.3% of women in the age of 20 to 24 and 18 to 19 have been married, where 16.3, as I've already mentioned, coming from 18 and 19 years old, and 23.3% coming from 20 to 24 years of age. Now this clearly shows the fact that over the years, yes, the numbers have seen a drop. There has been a 24-point drop since 2005, but the drop has slowed down, especially in last 5 years. If you see the median age at the marriage, that has gradually increased, but when we are talking about 20 years into the program, into the PCMA Act, then the numbers that are in front of us are not so promising. Furthermore, if you look at the final concrete number, 43% are married by 20, 61% by 21. That is why we need to understand, even if it is not happening just before the threshold, does not mean happening just after is right. What are the costs involved? What are the issues? Now let us get into the detail of it. We have seen the numbers. Now let us understand the socio-economic differentials that exist at this level. So when we are talking about dimension, when we see based on dimension, for example, education, 48% are the ones who have no schooling, versus there are 4% which have higher education and they also have married before 18. When we are talking about wealth, we see 40% from the poorest category, but richest are also contributing to the social evil. Caste, we have already understood. Religion, we have understood. But if we talk about location, rural girls are comparatively at higher risk. And if you have to understand the impact of this, let us see it in terms of regression, where if there is plus 1 year of schooling for a girl, then that means there will be at least 0.36 year delay in marriage. That means they will get this much time, that age would be added to marriage. If we look at the poorest quintile, that is 1.6 earlier than richest. So the stark difference is in the poorer and richer locality, rural, as well as urban, and we are also getting to see it in terms of education as well. Furthermore, when we are looking at determinants that we have found across India, you will see that they are coming from all the dimensions. For example, economic dimension, where we see poverty and dowry. Incentives are there to marry early. That means if the girl child is married early, then the burden of that particular child as an individual is sent off. Furthermore, the dowry demand that still does exist prominently in our country, that could be managed. This is a socio-economic issue that exists. Second, societal issue, patriarchal honor. A girl child is associated with the honor of the family. There is fear of any sort of sexual violence, which is a stigma where it is seen that the person is not good enough, and that's why, because of the fear, they are married off early. School access, education, the quality gap which makes them not prepared for the world, not employable, non-safety that is present around us, generates fears in the mind of people, and to protect from their idea, the early marriage seems like a solution. Another thing that we see, child labor, presence of child labor and contribution in household chores where it is required. Child marriage is another prominent factor here, and definitely the weak implementation of Prevention of Child Marriage Act 2006, and that is why amendments were called for it, PCMA 2021, where the legal marriage age for girls was asked to be revised to 21 years. What do you think? Will this help this situation, or it would be just another thing that would be put on papers? Let me know in the comment section. Now, when we have understood the determinants across India, now let us see a case study where West Bengal has fared as the poorest in terms of child marriage, where the numbers, especially when we are talking about between the age of 20 to 24, has been seen as 41%, where the average around India is 23%. If we talk about SRS 2025, the recent data that has come out, it has been seen as 6.3%. Basically, girls who are of less than age than 18, 6.3%, where the national average is somewhere around 2.1%. And if we talk about 18 to 20 who are already married, we find it is close to 45%, where in India it is around 27%. In this context, why we are taking West Bengal as a case study? Not because the numbers are extremely high, but also because the implementation of scheme which is specifically from the idea to prevent child marriage, that is Kanya Shri Prakalp, where there are already 93 lakh beneficiaries. A lot of amount in this very year would be spent on this, but it has not helped the situation. What is going wrong? It has helped in education. There means enrollment has increased, but when we talk about child marriage, that has not seen a decline. Why it exists? It exists because cash incentives are not enough to offset either dowry or even child marriage in this situation. So when we talk about Kanya Shri Prakalp, in this, a girl of 13 years to 18 years is given 1,000 rupees annually, and there is an amount of 25,000 which is given at the age of 18 when they turn 18 and they are unmarried still. Because of this, there has been better enrollment, but there have also been increased dropout after 8th to 12th. There have been marriages, as soon as you are 18, you get the grant, then the marriage can take place. That does not offset the actual cause here. And the hotspot districts where the child marriage numbers are really high, Murshidabad, Malda, Jalpaiguri, then we have NS24, Parganas, all these regions are extremely high, showcasing the fact that the incentives in form of cash are not enough alone. These schemes need to be built from ground zero again to address the real challenges that lie in front of us. Now let us move ahead and understand that what is the legal and policy framework in our country. I have already talked about PCMA 2006, which is the main legal framework and make these marriages voidable and there is low conviction rate which is present. There is already a PCMA amendment bill of 2021 which proposes the age to be raised to 21, and there is longer limitation that is present. There are multiple schemes like Kanya Shri Prakalp, Rupa Shri, Sabala, Triple BP. These all show that the fact that even the legal framework exists, this problem is not being addressed. There is need of better regulation, marriage registration and data dashboards which can facilitate not just understanding of the problem but solving of this problem as well. Now that we have a fair idea of legal and policy landscape, in the end, let me give you a snapshot of what are the social and economic costs that the girls in this country are bearing and what we are going to bear the brunt in form of the effect on economy. So if we talk about girls, it is not just the marriage, it is loss of schooling, it is loss of education and lifetime earnings that they could have had to become independent to contribute to the economy, and this is reduced by 15 to 20% on an average. It also leads to a possibility of early pregnancy, which can be cause of lower maternal mortality rate, which can be a cause of lower infant mortality rate, malnutrition, and it can also directly influence gender-based violence, mental health issues that are seen. All of this will dampen the productivity of our economy. That means we are not just losing human capital, we are also losing on productivity. That means directly our GDP and GSDP of the state is being affected. Higher fertility will increase the dependency burden. For example, if we talk about West Bengal 2023, the ending child marriage, this could already add multiple trillions to the GDP by 2030. 2030 is the year where we are supposed to complete SDGs, and when we talk about SDG 5.3, that is eradication of child marriage, India totally seems to be off track as of now. Given these numbers, given this situation, even with an act, even with the schemes, we are not seemingly at the goal. But the question is, what is way forward? And I would say it is much more than just law and enforcement. It lies in a multidimensional strategy which is honest and real. What are your suggestions on it? Put it in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.